Hey all of you, hope you guys are great. So in the last video we have worked on our donate component. If you haven't watched the video, I'll link in the I button or in the description so you guys can follow that. Now we're going to start working on our next component. So here we left in the last video. Come here. And now we have to work on a different component. So what we can do is, we have done with this filter. So button is done, card is done, checkbox is done, donate is done, filter is done, footer is done, form. We haven't worked on the form component, so we have to work on it. So with this form component, user can upload their information about the images. So that's what we are building. So first thing we have to do is we have to import a couple of things from React. We'll say React from React. We'll say import, do the internal imports. We have to get the CSV file and we have to go to the lock icon. So these are the two icons we are getting from the CSV. Then we have to import the CSS file. Then we have to import the checkbox and we have to build the form component. In that we have to receive couple of props. So we'll receive the set file, then we'll receive the set display, handle form field change. So this is the function will allow us to update our state variable. Then we'll call on this handle submit, set category, and then we have to simply take a variable called categories. And in that we have to assign 3 different categories: natural, artificial, and animal. Now we have to work on a JSX. So we'll take a div, it will have a class called style card. We'll take another div, it will have a class called style card2. And we'll have another form, it will have a class called style form. We'll have a p tag, it will have an ID called heading, and we'll have a class called heading. We'll come down. In that we have to pass our text, upload image details. We have to close our p tag. Then we have to take a div, it will have a class called filled, and in that we have to display the icon, and our icon need the class, the CSS props. So we have to pass the style props, input icon, and here we have to display the input field. So we're gonna display the type is going to be a text, class is going to be input field, and we have to take the placeholder title, and we'll take the autocomplete to false, and we'll have the on change function. We'll call this handle form field change function. In that we have to pass the title and the e. This will update our state variable. So just follow along with me. That's what I have. Let's close this one, input fill. Let's close the div. Now we can come here, we'll work on a second input fill. We'll say filled, and the same thing we have to do here. So I will go a little faster, okay? Because altogether we're going to have close to 4 fields. So this will be a text area, and in that we have to pass the same thing. Type is going to be a description, class is going to be our dynamic class, text area, and we'll have this input field. We'll have a placeholder description. We'll have an on-click function, and then we have to call handle form change, and we have to pass it the description. Let's close this one and close this one. Let's take one more field. It will have a div, it will have a class called filled. Then we have to take the icon, we have to pass the CSS class. Now we have to take the input field, and we have to pass all the properties. So type is gonna be the email. We'll have the class to be input field, and we'll have the placeholder to email, and that's the same thing we have to pass into our handle form field change. So we'll pass the email and the event, and close this one, close the div, and we'll have one more. We'll display the paragraph, the category, and here we have to display the different category. So we'll have this category component. In that we have to simply loop over our category, and we have our checkbox component. Inside that we have to send the props, because remember our checkbox props needs a category, and that's what we have to set category props, and we have to send the category key, and we have to set also the category, so it will render the component. So that's our checkbox component, and close it. Looks pretty fine. And close the div. Come down. Now we have to work on the button. So we have to take a div. It will have a class called button. We'll take a button. It will have a class called button1, and it will have an on-click function. So we'll say set file to null and set display to null. So when someone will click on this, we have to empty the entire data in our state. Then close this one, then pass the text. So we'll say this, and we'll simply say close, because when someone will close, we'll remove all the data, and close the button. Looks fine. Now we have to work on the second button. We'll say button2 sign up, and close this div. Now we have to work on the last button. It will have an on-click function, and this button will allow to submit. And we're going to create this particular function handle submit, which will trigger the deployment of the NFTs. Looks fine. Say create, and close the button. Close the form, close the div, close this one, and close this one, and simply export the form component, and that's it. I know this is pretty huge, but we have built the entire component. All we have to do is to feed the actual data, and it will work absolutely fine. So this is the first field, this is the second field, this is the third field, and this is the entire category component we have, and this is the bottom component. So all of things are looking pretty good. All of things are looking absolutely great. Now come here, and now we have to work on the CSS file. So you can see this is the form CSS file, and we have already written the CSS for the form component. So we go back to the donate, and we have already have all of the CSS. As I told you that we're going to use this CSS as a reusable model, and that's what I'm going to do. Simply copy that one, and that's what you have to do here. Copy entire, and that's what we have to paste here, and paste here. You can see we have pasted the entire CSS, and this will work absolutely fine. So we don't need to write the CSS over and over again. So this is looking fine. So simply all of the CSS we have written for the form component. So let's come up, scroll down. We have all of this. Looks incredible. So that's the donate one. Close this one, and that's the form one. So it's looking absolutely great. So we have this heading, and that's all we have here in our CSS file. So if you come here, you can see we have the heading. All of the CSS will use the same one. Okay. So let's close this one. Heading we have second field, input icon, input field, text area, category, form button, button 1, over effect, button 2 over effect, button 3 over effect. We have the card, and we have the card 2 over effect, and this is the media query we have. Looks pretty fine. So this is the entire CSS we have. Save it. Now come back to the layout, and now we have to simply import the components. So come back here, let's import the form component, form, and we have to simply paste right below the donate. So this is what we have. Simply come here, we'll say paragraph form, and paste here. No, not the CSS, we have to paste the component. Simply copy this one, and that's what we have to paste here. Close this one, and that looks fine. So that will work absolutely fine. Come here, reload the browser, and here you will find. So this is the logo, button, filter. We can click and drop and down. This is the card icon, this is the donate, and this is the form. You can see it's look absolutely incredible. All of the things we can simply pass. This is the form component, the one we have designed. This is the donate one. You can click and you can easily able to turn that one. So you can see how things are coming together very efficiently, and that's how you have to develop any application in the real world. Looks fine. Let's come back to the VS Code, and that's the only thing I want to cover in this video. Hope you guys have understood that how we have built this entire component, how we have used the reusable classes which we have designed for the donate, and that's what we have used in the form component. So with that, I'm ending this video. Hope you guys have enjoyed that. In the next video, we're going to start working on our next component.